Hi everybody, and welcome to another edition of First Person, again sponsored by the Signature Lounge and the Crystal Room in Troy, just off I-75 on Route 55. Give Jessica Brown a call at 552-7680 to schedule your next event, large or small. They say events perfected, and they mean it. It's convenient right there in the heart of Miami County in Troy, across from the Kroger Plaza, the new Kroger Plaza on West Market Street. Give them a call, sponsors of First Person on Press Pros. Subject again is football, and in particular playoff football this week. The guy to my right is synonymous with success in area high school football. He's Chip Otten, the head coach here in Coldwater up in Mercer County. And I have to say, owner of 4 consecutive state titles in Division V with the Cavaliers. And I know you're busy. We're talking week 1 of the playoffs here. Everybody's had their first round games. You had a very successful debut, so thanks for taking this time to visit with us.
Well, thanks for coming up, Sonny. I appreciate so much that you do for the MAC and high school football. So that's awesome that we get good publicity for our kids and in high school football.
Well, let's talk a little bit about what the $64,000 question is, because in the last 10 days, since the pairings were announced for week 1, we've had so many emails and texts and phone calls and just people stopping you everywhere you go and say, hey, look, you're in the MAC a lot, because I do write the MAC on a weekly basis. Tell me if Coldwater has enough to win that 5th straight title this year. Marion had the opportunity last year, could not get that done. Here you are on the threshold of doing it, and I'm sure people would like to hear from you just what Coldwater's like.
Well, that's a great question.
It's a compliment.
Yeah. I guess we'll take it that way, that we're in the tournament, number one. So if you're in there, I guess you got a shot. We feel really good right now. I think we're still getting better. You know, we came into this season with so much inexperience. They're not really young guys. They're mostly seniors and some juniors, probably 6'8" juniors, good juniors, but they were inexperienced and had not any real big time playing experience. So as we've gone through the season, as you know, you need to have a little luck in there, and we're absolutely really healthy right now.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got through the season healthy. We've played a lot of tough ball games, and so those guys have gained a ton of experience by playing 4 quarters. So it's not like they're getting out in the 3rd quarter, and so they've had to play some good tough ball games. We took one on the chin, which was, we never want to lose, but maybe that was a
good loss.
Maybe that was an awakening for us. But I guess back to the original question, we feel like we can compete with those teams left. Some of those are the same teams. We're looking. Now, I'm not looking ahead past Greenview at all, but CHCA's out there with some guys returning. Wheelersburg is a good team that's out there. Kent Central's still alive, so that would be the I guess if you're looking at the 3 teams that are returning, that have really good seasons going on. I think Wheelersburg is undefeated, and I think CHCA is undefeated. So if we can get, we got Greenview this week, and then that's our focus. We can't win a state this week, but we can certainly end our season and get out of that tournament this week. So we're going to really focus on.
I'm sure you've heard this story until you're absolutely annoyed by it, and that is, or this question about how a team like Marion or how a team like Coldwater can come back year after. You lost 25 seniors last year. I mean, that's a third of your roster. You had tremendous turnover, and yet you come back this year in one of the toughest leagues, if not the toughest league, proportionally, in Ohio high school football, and here you are at 10-1 again. And somebody said this the other day, a coach, in fact, said this a couple of weeks ago, this is not your typical Coldwater team, but rather a team, and I don't think he meant anything derogatory about this, of spare parts. Kids that played 3rd and 4th quarter last year in wide open games, or kids that maybe have played JV before, now getting their opportunity to extend the legacy at Coldwater and making the most of it.
Yeah, you're exactly right, and we did it a few years ago. Our 2012 team was almost all seniors, and that next year we came back when Brody was a junior. My son was one of the seniors that had played, like you said, had played some, but not a ton as juniors, and so it's a kind of similar situation. I guess our guys, we've created that expectation that you don't want to be the team that doesn't make the playoffs. You want to be a team that's going to compete for the league. I don't think anybody probably really thought we could win the league this year, except maybe our kids, and the staff felt like, if we can piece these guys together, like you said, a little patchwork, and stay healthy, which we have, that you got a shot. And so they just keep playing, and we have a really good staff. Those guys are really coaching them up, and I think we're continuing to improve.
It's hard for kids because when you talk about that kind of turnover, you don't have, I've seen you this year a couple times, you don't have that thunder and lightning downfield that you've had with a Craig Shanehair or a Harleman or a Jack Himmelgarn or a Petey Post or people like that. And the kids know that too. They know that expectation. Hey, I'm taking over this position. There is, as you said, expectation on me to perform.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And
that's a good thing.
Yeah, it really is. And we talk about it a lot, to be honest with you, you can do this. And as we've gotten better, I think the confidence level has really improved, especially those guys all those guys that we lost. You just talked about Shaney and Petey and Kibby and certainly Aaron. Those guys were outstanding. Jack's, throwing it to them. Those guys that through this experience and through these tough games have got a lot more confidence, and they're feeling better, and they know that expectation is there, and they want to get back to Columbus.
I smiled last night. I didn't see your game, but this week I did see St. Henry play on Friday night, saw Minster play last night. And again, to that question of how does that league, and this is another thing that's been talked about ad nauseum, about maybe not ad nauseum to you because it's a point of pride for people in the MAC, how year after year after year, I don't know how many, 36, 37, 38 state titles in football since 1973. 5 teams represented again this year. Minster, St. Henry, Marion, and Fort Recovery. All 5 had impressive opening wins, and again, people have to look at that and say, "Wow, what's new?"
Yeah, it's crazy. Anna was 1 minute away from
1 minute away,
and Delphus lost an early game. I think the first game of the year, 29-28 to a Elida team that ended up 6-4, and they had 5 turnovers, and so they could have got in Division 7. So it's kind of crazy. I saw a stat. I can't remember the exact number, but in first round playoffs.
60-2.
60-2 now
against non-conference opponents,
and that's crazy. So it's great for the league. A few years ago we went to a two-game non-league, two non-league games. Mm-hmm. So we don't play one team in our league, and we had some people do some studies to show that if we play one more non-league game and we win those games, which typically we do pretty well in those non-league games early in the season, that can get somebody else in. And so that was a good thing about, I don't know how many years ago that was. It's been several years, but excuse me, that's been a good thing, and gets those teams in, and certainly now, unfortunately, Marion and St. Henry are going to have to play each other. So, and then Minster and Fort Recovery maybe in 2 weeks.
I want to ask you this to wrap up. We talk about expectation, we talk about your excellent legacy, and Tim Goodwin's dealt with this and dealt with it successfully for years over at Marion. But you're dealing with 16, 17, 18-year-old kids, and they know what's at stake. And how you deal with the stress of keeping something alive, what you have. And it's not only tough for kids sometimes, it's tough for adults, it's tough for coaches too. How do you coach kids through that fact of not being afraid to lose, going out there and to play as you have played in big game after big game after big game in state finals?
That's a good question, and we have a saying: fast, loose, and focused. And so we've got to a point now where we try not to put a lot of stress on them. We don't scream and yell and bark a lot. We coach them up. We coach them up and correct them a lot, but we try to give them a good feeling of being relaxed. And we tell them, if you get focused, if you know what you're doing, if you know what your buddy's doing next to you, and you concentrate, then you line up, you know what you're doing, and then you just turn it loose and try to have fun. I think the coaches probably feel the pressure.
Yeah, maybe. I agree with that.
I don't know if it's pressure, but we don't like to lose.
Yeah.
When you get that taste, and so we are pretty diligent about trying to get them prepared and get them ready, and the kids, they bounce back quick, and really we try to make them enjoy it and coach them up, and so hopefully they're happy coming every day through the practice, because it gets long, from the workouts and then some of the summer stuff, and then you go through all the, you know, it's a long season, and so we're trying to keep them fresh right now and happy, and I guess that's kind of our, try to keep them loose and play fast.
So it's not just X's and O's, there's a little psychology to this as well. Chip Otten, the coach here at Coldwater, and really one of the great stories, I think, at this point of the playoffs going in, and should you be fortunate enough to get to Columbus, when you get there, can they win 5 in a row? Well, you've heard it yourself. There's a $64,000 question, and at least that worth that much was your answer, response to it.
As long as we're still alive, we've got a shot.
There you go. Thanks so much for the time. Stay healthy and the best of luck. That wraps up this edition of First Person with Chip Otten from Coldwater. Again, sponsored by the Signature Lounge and Jessica Brown and the people at the Crystal Room in Troy. Give them a call, 552-7680, to schedule your next event. Events perfected. See why they mean it. Until next time, for the coach and our sponsors, thanks for your support of what we do on PressProsMagazine.com. We'll see you next time with another edition of First Person.